भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्ट्वागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। Before going to the 5th chapter, I will give you the outline of the 4th chapter. So you should remember the topics of the previous chapters. In the first chapter, the topic was Srishti Prakaranam, through which Krishna Gati and Shukla Gati were highlighted. In the second and third chapters, we got the topic of Prana. In the second chapter, the superiority of Prana to all other organs were pointed out through a story. If you remember the story, you can remember the topic. How Prana tried to go out of the body and all the sense organs could not function when the Prana made a walkout. Did not even make a walkout, or about to make a walkout. Then all the sense organs together glorify Prana. This was in the second chapter. In the third chapter, also the glory of Prana was pointed out. How Prana sustains the whole individual, and how the very same Prana sustains the samashti outside also. Adhyatmam bahyam cha abhidhatte. Thus both in the second and third chapters, we got the Prana Mahima or Prana Stuti, and at the end Prana Upasana was hinted. It was not elaborately discussed. That was done in the third chapter. In the end, Prana Upasana was mentioned. And for this purpose alone, Prana Mahima was talked about in the second and third. Then, in the fourth chapter, we get the topic of Swapna and Sushupti. And even there is a question about the Adhisthana Atma, and therefore we can say the fourth chapter has got Paravidya in it. So if the first 3 chapters are Aparavidya, in the fourth chapter we do have Paravidya. And here the student asked 5 questions. The first question was, what all organs sleep during the dream? And the answer was given in the second mantra. Except Prana, all organs sleep. Prana and Manaha. Here all organs refer to Jnanendriyani, Karmendriyani cha. Because the question is regarding dream, so we should remember in dream Antahkarana is awake. And therefore, Karmendriyani and Jnanendriyani sleep, whereas Prana and Antahkarana, that is the mind, keep awake. That was in the second. The second question was, who wakes during the dream. And for that the answer was given in the third and fourth mantra. And the answer is that the pranaha and the mind keep awake. And in this context alone, the Agnihotra Kalpana was given, very, very complicated Kalpana. One is Yajamanaha and one is Garkapatyagni, Akavaniyagni, etc. If you can remember the details, fine. Otherwise, not at all necessary. What is the important point to remember is prana and mind keep awake during dream. Thus the second question was answered in the third and fourth mantra. Then the third question was, who enjoys sleep? Swapna. Who enjoys the dream was the third question. The answer was given in the fifth mantra. And what is the answer? Manaha. The mind enjoys the dream. Of course, when I say mind, we should remember not kevalam manaha, because mind in its pure form is jadam. Therefore, you should understand as sabhasam manaha, chidabhasa vyaptam manaha, swapnam anubhavati. The mind which is enlivened by, pervaded by, the chaitanyam enjoys the swapna. Thus the third question was answered in the fifth mantra. Then the fourth question was, who enjoys sleep? That is, from swapna we come to sushupti. And for this the answer was given in the sixth mantra. And this also, the sushupti also is enjoyed by the mind alone, but in dormant form. Not an active mind, but a leenam manaha. That was not clearly mentioned, but we should remember that. And when the mind is leenam, that alone we call as karana shariram. Therefore, sushupti is enjoyed by karana shariram. And here also you should remember, kevala karana shariram cannot enjoy sushupti, but karana shariram which is pervaded by chaitanyam, sabhasa karana shariram, chaitanya iddha karana shariram, chaitanya vyapta karana shariram. In fact, that alone we call as prajnaha. Prajnaha, anandabhuk prajnaha, cheto mukhaha, tritiyah padaha, we saw in Mandukya. So that alone is anandabhuk, sushupti bhuk. Thus sushupti belongs to prajnaha or karana shariram. Then came the fifth, that is the last and the most important question, which alone is Brahma Vidya or Atma Vidya. And what is that question? Where do all of them resolve? What is the substratum into which all these things, Jnanendriyam, Karmendriyam, all of them? And for this question, the answer was given in 3 mantras, 7 to 9. And the answer is that the Atma, the Turiyam alone, into which everything resolves, for which the Triputi was explained, everything that is to be seen and the seer, heard and the hearer, smelt and the smeller, in fact all the Triputis, and not only the Triputis, even Pancha Bhutani, Sthula as well as Sukshma. Prithivi cha, Prithivi matra cha, Nabhamardo, very interesting sloka. Prithivi cha, Prithivi matra cha, Apascha, Apo matra cha. Thus matra referring to sukshma bhutani as well as sthula bhutani as well as the triputi, all of them are resolved into that Atma. Thus the fifth question also was answered, and then the phalam is given in the last 10th and 11th shloka. The one who knows this Atma means Turiya Atma, Adhisthana Rupa Atma. The one who knows, Saha Sarvajño Bhavati, he becomes omniscient. In short, he becomes liberated. And it is because of the last question that this chapter is put under Vedanta Prakarana. All the other questions do not deal with Paravidya, but they are like stepping stones. Just as in Mandukya, when the Upanishad talked about Vishwa, Taijasa and Prajna, certainly it is not Paravidya, because Vishwa, Taijasa, Prajna are all only Aparam Brahma. But still we put them under Paravidya because they become the stepping stone for Paravidya. Just like Annamaya Kosha also comes under Paravidya because it is a stepping stone to go to Atma. Similarly, Pranamaya Kosha, similarly here also. The other four questions do not directly deal with Paravidya, but they are stepping stones to Paravidya, which is the answer to the fifth question. So with this Phalastuti, the fourth question also is over. Now you have to imagine the fourth student also has gone back. Who is that? Sauryayani. Now comes the fifth chapter. That is the fifth question asked by the fifth student. Not the fifth teacher, but the Ekaha Eva. Pippaladaha. Because fifth question, fifth student, fifth chapter, fifth teacher. So it is the first teacher only who is Pippaladaha. So that we will read now. Atha hainam shaibhyaha satyakama papracha sayoha vaitad bhagavan manushyeshu prayanantam Omkaram abhidhyayita katamam vavasatena lokam jayatiti tasmai saho vacha. So atha shabdaha anantaryarthe, anantaram, thereafter. Whereafter? After the fourth question. And after the student has been satisfied and he has gone back and taken his seat. Because still the teacher will not, because the student must be totally satisfied. Therefore, after satisfactorily answering the student, Yenam Pippaladam. Yenam refers to this same Guru Pippalada. Shaibhyaha Satyakamaha Papracha. The name of the fourth student is Shaibhyaha. And he has got another name also, Satyakamaha. Because we should remember, every student in this Prashnopanishad has got two names. So, Sukeshacha Bharadvajaha, Shaibhyascha Satyakamaha, Gargyah Kausalyaha, Sauryayani, etc. Bhargavaha, each one has got two names. So, these two together refer to one Shishya only, you should remember. And Shaibhyaha means he comes under Shibi. So, Shibi Parampara. And he is called Satyakamaha. As the very word shows, Satyam eva kamaha, yasya, the one who always desires for the knowledge of truth, the one who is ever the truth seeker. Papracha. So this seems to be another Satyakama, because there is another Satyakama Jabalaha. Here it is Satyakamaha Shaibhyaha. And he is asking the question Papracha. And what is the question? The question is regarding Omkara Upasanam. So the 5th chapter is going to be the topic of Omkara Upasanam or Omkara Dhyanam. Then the question will come, how can Omkara Upasana come under Paravidya Prakaranam? The first 3 chapters have talked about Aparavidya. From the 4th chapter, Paravidya topic has started. And the 6th chapter also is going to be Paravidya only. So in between 5th also must be what? Paravidya only. Then how is it that the teacher is unnecessarily interpolating the Omkara Dhyanam Upasanam topic here? Upasanam comes under Paravidya or Aparavidya. அது தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும் முதல்ல. இல்லைன்னா கொஸ்டினே புரியாது. இல்லை சரியா தானே இருக்கு தோணணும். So Upasana comes under Aparavidya, you should remember. Therefore 4th chapter deals with Paravidya, 6th chapter deals with Paravidya. Why is it that 5th chapter suddenly dealing with Aparavidya Upasanam, you may ask? The answer is this. So here Omkara Upasanam is introduced as a means for Krama Mukti. Omkara Upasanam is taught here as a means for Krama Muktihi. Therefore, here also the phalam is what? Muktihi alone. So, Paravidya also here gives mukti. Omkara Upasanam also gives mukti. Mukti may be kramataha. The other one is akramataha. Akramataha na priyodalya. Akrama means what? Here itself. Not in a negative sense. Sadhyo mukti. For since both have got the common phalam of muktihi, the Omkara Upasanam is put here. That is the only idea. Okay. Now the student asks, Sayoha vai tat Bhagavan. Bhagavan is addressing the teacher, O Lord Pippalada. Because for a student, Guru is as good as the Lord himself. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha. And therefore he happily addresses the Guru also as He Bhagavan, O Lord. Yaha Manushyeshu Omkaram Abhidhyayita. Suppose a person among the people, Manushyeshu Madhye Nirdharane Saptami. Among the people, suppose there is a person Omkaram Abhidhyayita, who meditates upon Omkara, who practices Omkara Dhyanam. Okay, and that too how long? He puts a condition here, Prayana Antam. Prayanam means Maranam. Antam means up to. Paryantam. So, Prayana Paryantam means Marana Paryantam. Till he dies, he practices Upasana. So, indirectly, the student is hinting at a point here that any Upasana can give phalam only if it is practiced up to death. So tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhyacha mayyarpita mano buddhihi mame vaishyat yasamshayam abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasa nanyagamina paramam purusham divyam yati parthanu chintayan. In fact, in the 8th chapter we saw a person must practice the upasana throughout the life. And not only throughout the life, the most important thing is antakale api. Omityekaksharam brahma vyaharan mam anusmaran. Ange om enna sollirukanga kuda. Omiti ekaksharam brahma vyaharan mam anusmaran yaprayati. So he has to remember the Omkara, the Dhyana Vishayam, and not only that, so many other details are set. He has to withdraw all sense organ. Not only at the time of Upasana, at the time of Marana Kalam also, he is supposed to withdraw all his sense organs, which means he should not allow any relatives to be around. So therefore remember that generally what do? Maranakale eva, we call all the relatives and we want to give the final messages, which means we continue our attachment to the people and other things, which means we are more interested in people than the Lord. Therefore Bhagavan said, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalebaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavitaha. Reaching Lord is not easy. If I have to reach the Lord at the end moment, I should think of Ishvara alone. Which means, whatever I have to tell friends and relatives, and thereafterwards, I should dismiss all of them. That's what in Bhagavata always shown, that he dismisses all of them. Even after dismissing, memory will not go. Imagine if the people are there, how can we forget them? So we are supposed to forget all of them, withdraw all sense organs, murdhni adaya atmana pranam, asthito yoga dharanam, sarva dvarani sanyamya, manohridi nirudhyata, murdhni adaya atmana pranam. If you say, I cannot do that, Krishna will say, you cannot get Lord. Full stop. Then you may say, I don't want Lord. Okay, that you tell. If you don't want Lord, you can do that. Therefore, one important condition is, at the time of Maranam, we are not supposed to think of any one of these things. And he has to do Omkara Dhyanam, that is called Prayanantam Omkara Dhyanam. So here also, another beautiful point is hinted. Prayana Kale Omkara Dhyanam he didn't say. Because if I say Marana Kale Ishvara Dhyanam, then what will people say? Appa paathukalame. So Ippa Vandam then artham. Marana Kale means what? Idani inna kartavyam. So Krishna said, if you can remember the Lord at the time of death, it is wonderful. But if you have to remember at that time, tasmat sarveshu kaleshu, it has been started right now. And that is why he says, prayana antam, it is a beautiful term, prayana paryantam, which means beginning from now up to death, even at the time of death. So therefore we have to do rehearsal. Marana upasana. Imagine our own death and how I am going to miss all the people. Don't get angry with me. Remember, we are all fine now. However fine we are, one day that terrible day has to come, for which we have to prepare. So Marana upasana is supposed to be very important. Don't we prepare for the birth of a child? Isn't it right from marriage they are waiting for the child only? And thereafterwards, even before the child is born, என்ன சொல்லுவாடோ இல்லையோ, அடியேன்னு சொல்றதுக்கு ஆத்துக்காரி இல்லையா, புள்ளைக்கு சிவராமகிருஷ்ணன் பேர் வைக்கிறோம் சொன்னாங்க. So therefore, you don't know that. So he doesn't have even a wife, but he has started thinking what name should be given to the child. So if we prepare that much for naming the grandson, even when the son is not yet married, shouldn't we prepare for death? If not somebody else's, our own death. Thus Marana Upasana is a very important thing that everyone has to practice. Imagine our own death and tell that I am ready to separate from all these people. I have lived with them for such a long time and we have to get separated, which is a fact. No doubt they have been very good to me, very dear to me, but the time has come when I have to quit all of them. Thus, death rehearsal is a very important thing. And at that time I should also say, Ati Bhishana Katu Bhashana Yama Kinkara Patali Kritatadana Parapidana Maranagama Samaye Umayasaha Mama Chetasi Yama Shasana Nivasan Hara Shankara Shiva Shankara Haramekara Duritam. Shankaracharya writes 8 shlokas like this beautifully. For when the time of death comes and when choking happens and blood pressure, all kinds of things come, I should not think of the people from whom I am going to be separated. Hara Shankara Shiva Shankara. I should remember my Ishta Devata at that time. Therefore, Prayanantam, if I have to do Upasana, I should do rehearsal of the death. Otherwise, there is no way at all. So, if a person does that Omkara Dhyanam, okay. And here Shankaracharya also hints at another point. When the concentration or dhyanam comes, automatically Yoga Shastra also comes into picture. Because dhyanam happens to be one of the limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. So Dhyanam happens to be the 7th limb of the 8-limbed Ashtanga Yoga. So which means, if I have to concentrate the mind on one thing, I should have discipline in my external actions, which is called Yama Niyama. Yama Niyama stands for external disciplines, following the do's and don'ts. Asana is physical discipline. Pranayama is breathing discipline. Pratyahara is sense discipline. Dharana is mind discipline. Thus, discipline at action level, Yama Niyama. Discipline at body level, Asana. Discipline at breathing level, Pranayama. Discipline at sense level, Pratyahara. Discipline at mind level, Dharana, concentration. So Shankaracharya says, if a person has to do Omkara Dhyanam, or for that matter any Dhyanam, he must go through all disciplines. Otherwise, when I try to sit and meditate, you know what happens. Either the physical body is restless or the mind is restless. Why physical body becomes restless? Because it is indisciplined. It cannot sit for half an hour without changing the position. Physical discipline is not there, or if mental discipline is not there, mind wanders. By practice of all these disciplines, if a person practices the Abhidhyanam, intense meditation, Abhidhyanam, Dhyanam not a meditation, Abhi means what? Intense. That is sincere, committed, not a casual one, but it is a sincere one. Abhitaha Dhyanam. And there is another meaning also for that. Dhyanam itself they divide into two. A type of Dhyanam in which I see the deity as separate from that, from me, And another type of dhyanam in which I see the deity as identical with me. Arunam karuna tarangitakshim dritapashankuja pushpabana chapam animadibir avrutam mayukaihi aham ityeva natu sa iti aham ityeva vibhavaye bhavani. Yosa vadityo brahma brahmaivahamasmi. In Sandhyavandanam also there is upasana alone. But what type of upasana? Abheda upasana. Sandhyavandanam is abheda upasanam. So in abheda upasanam, I don't see the deity as different from me, but I see the deity as identical with me. I imagine the deity as identical with me. This is called abheda dhyanam. But here also you should remember a point. I imagine the Lord as identical with me. Then alone it is called upasanam. But suppose I know the Lord is identical with me, it is not called upasanam. It is what? Jnanam. Once it is a jnanam, there is no question of repetition. It is understood. Thereafter, daily you need not say aham brahmasmi, because it is a fact for me. Just as you need not tell someone, you please come here, I will give you an important news. I am a human being. If I say, what will people doubt? Oh, this fellow has got doubt. No. Therefore, just as I don't have a doubt regarding my, what you call manushyatvam, if I know aham Ishwarosmi, it is called abheda jnanam. But if I imagine I am Ishwaraha, it is called upasanam. Upasanam doesn't require vichara, jnanam requires vichara. So here we are talking about what? Not abheda jnanam, but abheda upasanam. Abheda upasanasya phalam krama muktihi. Abheda jnanasya phalam sadhyo muktihi, jivan muktihi. Thus, we should always distinguish the abheda upasana and abheda jnanam. Here, abheda upasana is pointed out, and for that purpose alone, the abhi word, the abhidhyanam means abhitaha, abhedena dhyanam yaha karoti. Okay. What will be the phalam? Katamam vava saha lokam jayati. Which particular loka such an upasaka attain? Because many lokas are there, bhuloka, bhuvarloka, suvarloka, up to brahmaloka paryantam. Which loka does that person attain? How? Tena. Tena means what? Tena upasanena. Tena dhyanena. Tena onkara dhyanena. Through that onkara dhyanam, which particular loka does he attain? So from this itself it is very clear that he doesn't attain moksha. Because which particular loka he attains is the question. That means upasaka will go to one loka or the other. He may go to highest loka, but upasana itself does not give moksha phalam. Okay. Then you may ask a question. How do you contradict yourself? So you say upasana gives only loka, it cannot give moksha, you say. A few minutes before only you said upasana gives krama mukti. For Arsala you say it will not give mukti. In another place you say it will give krama mukti. How do you reconcile both statements? Remember, upasana does not give mukti. And even when I say krama mukti, upasana takes a person only up to Brahmaloka. And from Brahmaloka also, he has to gain Atma Jnanam for getting moksha. But there also moksha comes through what? Jnana Dwara only. Therefore, Upasana takes to Brahmaloka. In Brahmaloka he will get Jnanam, and Jnana Dwara he will attain Mukti. And therefore we will say figuratively that Upasana gives Krama Mukti. We should remember Natu Sakshat Parantu Jnana Dwara Krama Muktim Dasyati Natu Sakshat. It is not Sakshat Sadhanam. It is not only Parampara Sadhanam for Krama Mukti. So therefore he asked the question, Saha Kathamam Lokam Jayati Attain. Iti. Iti should be end of the inverted commas. You have to connect with Iti Papracha. Thus the fifth student Satyakama asked Pippalada. And Tasmai Saha Uvacha. So Tasmai Shishyaya Satyakamaya, to that disciple Satyakama, Saha Pippaladaha Uvacha. So that teacher Pippalada answered in the following way. What is the answer? We will read the second mantra. Etadvai Satyakama Parancha Aparancha Brahma Yad Onkaraha Tasmad Vidwan Yetenaiva Ayatanena Ekataramanveti. First he talks about the Onkara's glory. He says that Onkara has got unique glory, that it can represent the Aparam Brahma or Sagunam Brahma, and it can also represent Param Brahma or Nirgunam Brahma, which is the unique glory. Because if you take any other name of the Lord, each name represents only the Aparam Brahma, Rama. When you take that particular word, it is referring to one Saguna Ishvara alone. Krishna refers to one Saguna Ishvara alone. Shiva represents another Saguna Ishvara alone. Thus all these words can represent Saguna Ishvara alone, whereas Onkara is a beautiful symbol for both Aparam Brahma as well as Param Brahma. So, Etadhyeva Aksharam Brahma, Etadhyeva Aksharam Param. In the Kathopanishad also it was mentioned, one Onkara symbolizes both Aparam and Param. And if you ask, how can one Onkara symbolize both? We have already seen the answer in which Upanishad? Mandukya Upanishad. That Onkara has got 4 matras, Akara, Ukara, Makara. These 3 matras represent Sagunam, but the Amatraha, Chaturthaha represent Nirgunam, we have seen, and therefore I am not going to those details. We have already seen. Therefore the teacher says, Etat, Yad, later Yad comes, that you have to join here. Yadetat Parancha Aparancha Brahma. That which is known as Aparam Brahma and Param Brahma. Aparam representing Sagunam, Sopadikam, Savishesham, Savikaram, etc. And Param represents Nirgunam, Nirupadikam, Nirvishesham, Nirakaram, Nirvikaram, everything. And literally the word Aparam means what? Inferior. Param means what? superior. Therefore, Saguna Brahma is supposed to be inferior Brahman, because Saguna Brahma cannot give liberation. Saguna Brahma has the maximum power to take to Brahmaloka alone. Only Nirgunam Brahma has got the, what you call, moksha. It alone is the moksha sadhanam. And therefore Nirgunam Brahma is supposed to be superior. Because we always feel Sagunam Brahma is superior because Nirgunam Brahma doesn't have gunam. Sagunam Brahma has got gunam. Therefore, the Nirgunam, what Nirgunam Brahma doesn't have, Sagunam Brahma has. Therefore, that which has got must be superior to that which doesn't have. இல்லையோ எனக்கு பணம் இருக்கு, உங்களுக்கு பணம் இல்லை வச்சுக்கோங்களேன். ஆர் உங்களுக்கு பணம் இருக்கு, அப்படி போறது. உங்களுக்கு பணம் இருக்கு, எனக்கு பணம் இல்லை வச்சுக்கோங்களேன். So who will be naturally? The one who has is always plus, and the one who doesn't have is minus. Plus is superior or minus is superior. Plus alone is superior. Therefore Saguna has got gunam, Nirguna doesn't have the gunam. இப்போ சகுணம் தானே நன்னா இருக்கணும், அதுதான் கிடையாது. In Vedanta, everything is ulta. Because to have guna is to have limitation. Therefore, any attribute is supposed to be limiting property. If you say it is red, it automatically means it is not blue, it is not orange, it is not white, it is not anything. We say if it is a male, it means he is not a female. If we say he is a man, it means he is not an animal, plant. Thus, every property you give is the negation of infinite other property. Therefore, you think it is a positive thing, but really speaking, every Visheshanam gives limitation alone. Therefore, Sagunam Brahma has to be the Aparam inferior alone. That has been discussed in the 12th chapter also. Etvaksharama nirdeshyam avyaktam paryupasate. Those who meditate upon Aksharam Brahma, they get liberation. Okay. Yat saha onkaraha. We have to supply saha. So, yat etat param aparancha Brahma. That which is param Brahma and aparam Brahma, that one is onkaraha. That one is onkaraha means that one is represented by onkara. Okay, what is the essence of this statement? It means onkara is a symbol for both Sagunam and Nirgunam Brahma. In Sanskrit, symbol is called what? Alambanam. And Alambanam symbol is divided into two. Do you remember? Pratima Alambanam and Pratika Alambanam. Any symbol which has got a clear shape, form, like Krishna, Rama, etc., that is called Pratima Alambanam. That which does not have limbs, like Shivalinga, Saligrama, etc., they are all said to be Pratika Alambanam. And Onkara comes under Pratika Alambanam because it doesn't have limbs like hands, legs, etc. So therefore, Onkara is a Pratika Alambanam for both Aparam and Param Brahma. And therefore what? Tasmat. So Yasmat Onkaraha Para Apara Brahmanoho Ubhayasyapi Alambanam Tasmat. Vidwan. Vidwan here refers to Upasaka. So any Upasaka Ekataram Anveti can attain oneness. Ekataram means what? Aikyam, merger, oneness. Oneness with what? That is not said here. You have to supply. Oneness with Aparam Brahma as well as Param Brahma. So therefore, any Upasaka can attain either Parabrahma Aikyam or Aparabrahma Aikyam. Either way he can get through what? Etena Ayatanena. By resorting to Omkara Upasana. So by resorting to the Omkara Upasana, a person can attain either Apara Brahma or Parabrahma. It all depends upon what type of Upasana he does. Those details will come later. Because otherwise we will wonder how can the same Omkara give two types of different results. Therefore, the teacher will point out, even though the Upasaka may do Omkara Upasana, within that Omkara Upasana itself, we are going to see divisions like Akara Pradhana Omkara Upasana, Ukara Pradhana Omkara Upasana, and Makara Pradhana Omkara Upasana. Thus we will divide into three divisions. And each type of Upasana will give each type of result. That is going to be said later. Therefore, according to the type of Upasana a Vidwan practices, he can attain the relevant result. Therefore, Vidwan Upasakaha Etena Eva Ayatanena. Here Ayatanam means what? Alambanam, Pratikam. And Etena refers to what? Omkarena. Therefore, Etenaiva Ayatanena. That means Omkara Pratikena Eva. By resorting to the Omkara symbol itself, Ekataram Anveti, he attains oneness with what? You have to supply Apara Brahmana, Parabrahmana cha Saha, Ekataram Anveti. And here you should understand, when we say he attains oneness with Aparam Brahma, that is through Upasana he goes to those and those lokas, those and those devatas. But when I say by another type of Upasana he attains Aikyam with Param Brahma, it is referring to Krama Mukti. Because in the Omkara Upasana topic, Sadhyo Mukti will not come at all. Therefore, through one type of Upasana, he will attain various lokas. Through another type of Upasana, he will attain Krama Mukti. Through no type of Upasana, he can attain Sadhyo Mukti. Therefore, one gives Aikyam with Aparam Brahma, another gives Aikyam with Param Brahma. Katham? Krama Mukti Dwara, it gives Aikyam with Param Brahma. That is to be understood. Ekataram Anveti. Okay. Here afterwards, the teacher will divide into three. Akara, Ukara and Makara. And certain comparisons are going to come. Those comparisons I will just first introduce. Later the mantras will be easier. Akara indicates Manushya Lokam, which is Bhulokaha. Ukara indicates Soma Lokam, otherwise called Antariksha Lokam or Bhuvar Lokam. Muna Chetikande. Bhulokam represented by Akara. Bhuvar Loka represented by Ukara. Bhuvar Loka alone is otherwise called Soma Loka or Antariksha Loka. All the three are synonyms. Bhuvar Loka, Soma Loka, Antariksha Loka. And Suvaha represents Suvar Loka, otherwise called Brahma Loka. So Suvar Loka or Brahma Loka. Thus Akara Upasana will take him to Bhuloka. Ukara Upasana will take him to Bhuvar Loka. Makara Upasana will take him to Suvar Loka or Brahma Loka, which will lead him to Krama Mukti. Because once he goes to Brahma Loka, he will get Krama Mukti. And Akara represents Rigveda and Ukara represents Yajurveda. and Makara represents Samaveda. And therefore we will see Rigveda will take this person to Bhuloka. Yajurveda will take this person to Bhuvarloka. Samaveda will take this person to Suvarloka. And some commentators later also compare that when the Akara Upasana is done, it should be identified with Vishwa or Virat. When Ukara Upasana is done, it is identified with Taijasa or Hiranyagarbha. And in Makara Upasana, it is to be identified with Prajna or Ishvara. Thus, if a person practices Akara Pradhana Omkara Upasana, Somaloka, Manushyalokam, Ukara Pradhana Omkara Upasana, Somalokam, and Makara Pradhana Omkara Upasana, Brahmalokam, and Tadwara Krama Mukti. This is going to be the topic in the following mantras, which we will see in the next class. Hari Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.